About 115 voters made it to the opening of town meeting season on Saturday, March 2nd, in Manchester, for the town's informational meeting where the town warning and especially financial items, like the proposed town budget and other funding requests, were discussed and voted on off the floor. Election of town officials for select board and the town clerk, along with the town moderator and trustee of public funds, and along with 4 other financial requests, including $80,000 for the support of the North Shore Day School and $317,000 for the Manchester Community Library, will take place on Tuesday, March 5th, by Australian ballot voting at the Town Hall. Voters gave a thumbs up to the town's proposed budget of nearly $6.9 million and 2 other financial items: a request to take $40,000 from the general fund surplus to fund a newly created police vehicle and equipment fund, intended to pay for purchases of new equipment and vehicles for the town's police department, and also to authorize moving up to $150,000 from the Capital Improvement Contingency Reserve Fund to fund the purchase and installation of a second police dispatch console center. The meeting began with a local Girl Scouts troop, fresh from selling cookies to attendees on their way into the meeting, leading the meeting in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
11 years before Vermont declared itself an independent republic, and 25 years before we became part of the United States of America, on March 11, 1766, the first town meeting was held in Manchester. Self-governance by direct democracy is part of our town's DNA and is fostered and protected by a long tradition of spirited debates and a free exchange of ideas at our town meetings. It's our traditional floor meeting that brings us together and defines us as the unique community we are. It is here we determine the collective wisdom of our town.
After reports were given by the town's 2 state representatives, Kathleen James and Seth Bongartz, discussions about the proposed budget got underway, with town officials explaining it and voters weighing in and asking questions.
The fiscal year 2025 budget, not including town meeting voted appropriations, proposes total operating and capital expenditures of $6,896,427. This represents a slight decrease from $6,935,231 in fiscal year 2024, the current year. Total municipal spending, operating and capital, is anticipated to decrease by $38,804, or 0.6%. In order to fully understand these numbers, operating and capital expenditures need to be separated. Capital expenses in the proposed budget are down $267,767, while proposed operating expenses are up $228,963. This means that operating expenses went from $6,342,326 in fiscal year 2024 to $6,571,289 in the proposed budget. That is an increase of 3.6%. That's on the operating side of the budget. Much of that increase is driven by personnel and insurance cost increases.
How can you create a budget in basically not knowing what a deficit or a surplus could or would have been?
One of the problems with creating a budget is that we have to start working on this budget more than 18 months in advance of when that budgetary year will end. So a lot can happen in those 18 months, including a war in the Middle East that doubled fuel prices, those types of impacts that we can't possibly anticipate. There is typically a reserve balance, a carryover fund. Typically we end the year with a surplus.
I noticed that our money for paving roads is a lot less this year to probably help balance the budget. But in doing that, are we putting ourselves further behind in that capital account area?
The 6 roads we have in there for this year are small roads, but they're adequate to keep us ahead of the game on this. So we're really focused on paving roads as needed. So we're trying to not fall behind there.
Okay, I think it's important that we don't create a deferred maintenance situation in maintaining our infrastructure. Thank you.
Several articles calling for smaller sums ranging from $420 for the Vermont Center for Independent Living to $2,500 for the Tutorial Center were also voted through. Discussion was also held for 4 other articles, with most of the conversation and questions centering on the Manchester Community Library's request for $317,000 in town financial support. This represents an increase of about $74,000 over last year. This was the library's first funding request increase in several years.
MCL, like Bird and Burton in the Rec Park, is among our community's premier public assets. The library isn't just a place for books. It's a hub for learning, connection, and growth. You've likely heard that we more than doubled our visits last year to 50,000. This year, we're on a pace to top 60,000 visitors. Our growing programs and events attracted 15,000 attendees. From early literacy programs that spark a love for reading in our youngest citizens, to adult education workshops that empower lifelong learning, MCL serves every age and every stage of life.
While the attendance at this year's town floor meeting represented a slight increase over last year's by 5 voters, from 110 to 115, that represents a small percentage of the total number of eligible voters in the town's checklist of more than 3,650 voters, and represents a continuing pattern of low attendance. One resident, Anya Matanovic, urged the town to make more of an effort to get the word out about the meeting.
In the future to, I don't know how, but get the word out, because it seems like something that's really important for all of us to be here for, and I can just tell you that of the, 100 people I know in this town, I see very few of them, and I think that they would be excited to be here.
After the meeting adjourned, we had a chance to speak some more with her.
So what do you think would be something that would help boost the attendance?
Well, first I think just getting the word out. I understand it's out in newspapers. I saw notices about it, but only because I was made aware of it, because I went and had a discussion with someone and said, how do I learn about what's going on in this community? I want to be more involved, and I don't even know how to start. So I was looking for that information, so I found it. But, I think the structure of these meetings are really unique. I'm curious if there is a way to modify them. I wonder if, being in a circle and it being a little less formal is something we can ever work towards, because from the moment I entered, it seemed like there was a rather archaic way of running these meetings that would be it would be a block to getting a lot of people who aren't familiar with how these meetings work to get in. So I think if we make it a little more accessible and exciting, if there was childcare provided, because really I wanted to bring my whole family, but my husband stayed home to be with my daughter because I wasn't sure, but if there were a place where we could drop our kids off, and a lot of my friends have children and didn't know what to do with the kids. And in my dreams, we would just put them in the next room and they would sit and read and play, and we could all be a part of this, and it could be a really vibrant, exciting experience, because I think there's so many people with incredible ideas and artistry, and there are also people who cherish the way things have been done for years and years, and I think having functional meetings together where we can all share the visions of what this town could be would be fantastic. I want to be a part of it, and I want to get people excited about it.
We also spoke with Greg Cutler, the Vice Chair of the Manchester Select Board, and Ed Surgeon, the Executive Director of the Manchester Library, on their reactions to how the nearly 3-hour-long meeting had gone.
As quick as any one that I've ever been a part of since I've been on the board, so that was a surprise. But not a lot of articles, not a lot of contentious articles, and I think it went well. I thought the moderator did a great job, and there was a good audience participation, and it was orderly and very well done.
Do you think any of the questions on the budget kind of were important to highlight for the voters who were here? And
I think that the one issue that I was a big proponent of was the dispatch center at the police department. And again, we are advocating for something that's going to generate some fees over time. It won't pay for itself right away, but over time it will. And it's people may not know, but the Vermont State Police discontinued their dispatch, which is why we've taken it up, and we can provide for other towns, Arlington, Dorset, I believe, and then Winhall coming on. So over time, it'll probably pay for itself. But if anybody were to go and look at the dispatch center in its current state, it's ready for renovation anyway. So this will be a good thing.
It's heartwarming to have so many people come up in support of the library, and honestly, the voters who spoke today say much more eloquently than I ever could why the library is important. So it was really something that I, frankly, it makes me a little emotional, and I'm just grateful for the support that the library receives, and we'll keep trying to do all the good work that merits that support.
Again, Australian ballot voting will be held on Tuesday, March 5th, the official town meeting day, which will feature votes not only on the requests from the North Shire Day School and the library, but also on elections to the Select Board and Town Clerk. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.